On my birthday, my husband's sister rudely interrupted my special cake cutting moment and declared, "You don't deserve to be the center of attention." My husband simply shrugged it off, saying, "She just likes to joke around." Keeping my composure, I smiled and replied, "Then she'll absolutely love my joke too." Mere moments later, her face went completely white as the full impact of what I had done dawned upon her. I'm a 34-year-old woman, and I've been married to my husband Ryan, who is 36, for 8 years. We live in Chicago, and for a long time, I believed our marriage was good. It wasn't perfect, but like most marriages, we had our ups and downs. I loved him, and I truly believed he loved me back. However, there was always one major issue in our relationship: his sister, Olivia, who is 38. Olivia has always acted as if the world revolves around her. If you have good news, she'll top it with something even better. If you get something nice, suddenly she needs the same thing, but grander. When you achieve something, she finds a way to diminish it. At first, I didn't give it much thought. Some people just have that kind of annoying personality, not really worth making a fuss over. But over the years, her behavior only worsened. She turned our wedding into her personal event by announcing her engagement during our reception, a relationship that lasted only 4 months. When I got promoted, she interrupted our celebratory dinner to declare she was considering going back to school. She never did, and every time I mentioned it to Ryan, he'd brush it off with, "She's just joking. That's just Olivia." But last month, my birthday turned everything upside down. I had planned a small dinner party at our home with friends and family. I had a rough year at work, and Ryan suggested keeping the celebration intimate. I thought it was sweet and was really looking forward to it. The food, the music, the company. I was genuinely happy. But then Olivia was unusually quiet, and I should have known she was up to something. Right as I was about to cut my birthday cake, Olivia clinked her glass to get everyone's attention. Standing up, she said, "I just have to say something before we do this." I paused with the knife in hand as everyone turned to her. With a smile, she continued, "I just think it's adorable that we're all making such a big deal out of turning 34. I mean, really, that's hardly an achievement." People laughed awkwardly, and then she smirked, "But you know what is an achievement? Creating life. And guess what? I'm pregnant." The room burst into gasps and congratulations. I froze, cake knife still in hand, while Ryan just shrugged and muttered, "She's just joking around." And just like that, my birthday was ruined. Olivia soaked up all the attention, her hand proudly resting on her stomach, sporting fake modesty. I was furious, and yet, a part of me smiled because Olivia had no idea what was coming. 3 weeks before my birthday, I discovered something that changed everything. One night, while Ryan was in the shower, he left his laptop open, and I noticed an email with the subject line, "Deposit confirmed." It was from his bank, a transfer of $2,500 to Olivia. I stared at the screen, wondering why Ryan would be sending that kind of money to his sister. Something felt off, so I did what anyone with half a brain would do. I started digging. What I uncovered made me sick. I found bank statements showing dozens of transfers from Ryan to Olivia over the past year, thousands of dollars funneled into her account every month. There were also texts and conversations between them that made my stomach churn. In that moment, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Olivia wasn't just stealing the spotlight. She was having an affair with my husband, and she was pregnant with his baby. At first, I didn't cry. I just sat there, hands trembling and heart racing. Then I grabbed my purse and left the house, not knowing where I was headed, just wandering the streets. After about an hour, I made up my mind. I wasn't going to scream or break down. I was going to make both of them regret what they had done for the rest of their lives. I hired a private investigator, and within days, I had all the evidence. Photos, messages, receipts, proof of Olivia and Ryan sneaking into hotels, credit card receipts for dinners, gifts, even a weekend getaway. I compiled everything into a neat folder and waited. I waited for my birthday. I waited for Olivia to steal the moment, as she always did. And she did. That night, as she stood in front of me, soaking in all the attention with her feigned modesty and hand on her stomach, I picked up my wine glass and said with a smile, "Wow, a baby, amazing news, Olivia." And even crazier considering the father is already married. Silence fell. Olivia's smile faded and Ryan turned pale. Someone murmured, and then I pulled out my phone. With one tap, I displayed the folder on the screen, and the room exploded. Olivia gasped. Ryan stammered. His mother nearly fainted. I remained calm and in control because, for the first time in years, I had taken something from Olivia, her entire world, if only for a few seconds. No one moved. No one spoke. The room was frozen, eyes darting between me, Ryan, and Olivia. Ryan was the first to react, letting out a strangled sound as if he wanted to speak but couldn't. Olivia stood there, eyes shifting like a cornered animal until chaos broke loose. Ryan finally spoke. "What the hell are you talking about?" while Olivia cried out, "You're lying. You're crazy." I didn't flinch. I sipped my wine, pulled the folder onto the table like laying down a royal flush, and said, "If I'm lying, then feel free for everyone to take a look." Curious guests leaned in. My best friend Rachel grabbed the folder, flipped it open, and gasped, "Oh my God." Ryan lunged forward to snatch it, but Rachel quickly pulled it away, hissing, "Sit down." To my delight, Ryan listened. Rachel started reading, first the hotel receipts, then the bank transfers, then the texts. The murmurs turned to horrified silence. Ryan's mom, who'd been standing next to Olivia with a supportive hand on her shoulder, snatched the folder away as if it were something foul. "Tell me this isn't true," she whispered to Olivia. Olivia's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Then Ryan, looking at me as if I were the villain, demanded, "Why did you do this?" I couldn't help but laugh. "Oh, I'm sorry, Ryan. Was I supposed to just sit back while you kept cheating with your own sister?" More gasps filled the room, and someone dropped a glass. Ryan blushed and hissed, "Lower your voice." Finally, Olivia spoke in a high, shaky voice. "It's not like that." I raised an eyebrow and asked, "Then what is it, Olivia?" Her hands clenched into fists, and she replied, "You don't understand. Ryan and I." She stopped herself, realizing she'd said too much. The room fell silent again, everyone waiting for her to continue, and then she bolted out of the room, shoving past people and nearly tripping over a chair in her rush to escape. Ryan hesitated for a split second before chasing after her, and just like that, they were gone. I turned back to the guests just as someone shouted, "Cake, anyone?" A few nervous laughs filled the room. Rachel patted my back, and then Ryan's mom, yes, Linda, the same one who used to idolize him, broke down in tears. She sank into a chair, face hidden in her hands, murmuring, "Oh my God, oh my God." Rachel awkwardly rubbed her back. "Do you need some water, or maybe a therapist?" she asked. Meanwhile, Ryan's dad, Richard, who had been silent until now, suddenly stood up, grabbed his coat, and muttered, "I'm going to kill him." And he meant it. He stormed toward the door like a man on a mission. Linda cried out, "Richard, stop," but he didn't listen. Neither did I. I followed him just in time to see Ryan and Olivia arguing in the driveway. "Let me tell you," Olivia shrieked, "dropping the innocent act, you idiot. How the hell did you let her find out?" Ryan ran his hands through his hair, pacing wildly. "I don't know. She must have been snooping." "That's it? You think I was snooping?" I snapped, stepping forward. "You left your damn laptop open." They both whipped around. Ryan's nostrils flared as Richard said nothing, and then he slammed a punch right into Ryan's face. Ryan hit the ground, blood, a broken nose, maybe even a concussion. It was almost poetic. After the punch, things escalated fast. Olivia screamed while Ryan groaned, clutching his face. The neighbors must have called the cops because 10 minutes later, 2 squad cars pulled up. An officer stepped out. "What's going on here?" he demanded. Ryan, still on the ground, groaned, "My dad hit me." Richard simply shrugged. The officer blinked, then asked, why did I step in?" "Because my husband was sleeping with his own sister," someone said. The officer's face twisted in disgust. "Jesus Christ," he muttered. At that point, Olivia started crying, overly dramatic, crocodile tears, and wailed, "It's not what it looks like." One of the cops sighed, rubbing his forehead. "Ma'am, I don't even know what this looks like," he said. Ryan, bleeding all over his shirt, croaked, Just get me out of here." The cops took one look at him, then at Richard, and one of them sighed, "Sir, we're going to have to take you in for assault." Richard didn't argue, he just nodded before they cuffed him. Linda ran outside, hysterical. "Please, no, don't arrest him," she sobbed, barely able to stand. Rachel had to support her. One of the cops, clearly tired of this mess, said, "Look, if he doesn't press charges, we can let this slide." Ryan, still lying on the ground, muttered, "I just want to go home." The cop turned to Richard, "You good with that?" Richard scoffed, "I've already wasted a punch on this piece of, I'm not wasting any more energy." And that was it. The cops left. Ryan and Olivia crawled into Ryan's car and drove off, and I walked back inside. I picked up my cake knife and cut myself the biggest damn slice of cake because, trust me, the best part was that this wasn't over, not even close. The night should have ended there. I should have gone to bed feeling satisfied, knowing I'd burned their little secret to the ground. But as I sat there eating my cake while the party fizzled out, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Ryan and Olivia had left too quietly, no shouting, no last-ditch attempts to spin the story, no desperate excuses, just a quick getaway. That didn't sit well with me. Ryan never just walked away. He always had to have the final word, the last punch, the upper hand. And Olivia, she was a professional at playing the victim, yet instead of a full-blown meltdown, she just slithered into Ryan's car and vanished. I knew they weren't finished. And I was right. I woke up to 50 missed calls and a dozen unread texts. At first, I thought it was fallout from the party. Maybe Ryan's family had more to say, or one of my friends wanted to rehash everything over coffee. Then I saw the name on my screen, my boss. The message below made my blood run cold. "Call me ASAP. We need to talk." I bolted upright, heart pounding, and dialed immediately. "Hey, what's going on?" His voice was cold and stiff. "We received an email about you this morning." "Multiple emails, actually." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "Someone sent HR a package, screenshots, photos, accusations." He hesitated. "It's serious." I felt like I was drowning. What kind of accusations? Sexual harassment? Embezzlement? Workplace bullying? They even attached a supposed testimony from a former coworker. I nearly dropped the phone. What? That's insane. I know, he sighed, but corporate takes this stuff very seriously. You're on administrative leave while we investigate. I could barely breathe. My hands were shaking so much I almost dropped the phone. Who the hell would? Then it hit me. Olivia. Of course, it was Olivia, the conniving, desperate, evil little snake. I clenched my jaw so hard I almost cried. This wasn't just revenge. This was war. I spent the next few hours in full damage control mode, calling HR, my lawyer, even reaching out to some coworkers to see if anyone had heard any rumors. The testimony? It was fake. The coworker they supposedly got it from had never written anything like that. And the embezzlement claims? The email was anonymous. With HR forced to follow procedure, I was stuck in limbo, and Olivia knew she wasn't trying to win. She was trying to make me suffer. Well, two can play that game. That same afternoon, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to pick up. Hello? I said. Silence. Then a hesitant voice. Is this my name? Yes, who is this? More silence, then. My name is Melanie. I think we need to talk. It's about Olivia and Ryan. I froze. What about them? A deep breath on the other end. Then, I'm Olivia's former best friend, and I know everything. I met Melanie that evening at a coffee shop. In her late 30s, blonde, with tired eyes and an expression that screamed, I've been through hell. She didn't waste any time. Olivia is a snake, she said bluntly. I know what she did to you, but trust me, she's done worse. I leaned in. Tell me everything. And oh, did she? Apparently, Olivia had a history of destroying lives. She once got a former friend fired by planting drugs in her car and anonymously tipping off the police. The charges were eventually dropped, but the friend lost her job. She faked having a stalker and blamed it on an ex who dumped her, ruining his reputation. She even tried to blackmail her own mother for money. But the real bombshell? Olivia had done this exact same thing before. What do you mean? I asked, my skin crawling. Melanie hesitated, then pulled out her phone and scrolled through her messages. 3 years ago, Olivia had an affair with a married man. When his wife found out, Olivia tried to ruin her. The wife fought back by making up fake accusations, just like what she's doing to you. My stomach turned. What happened to the wife? I pressed. She lost everything, her job, her reputation. She even moved out of state. Olivia won. I felt physically sick. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Look me in the eyes, Melanie said firmly. Because Olivia finally screwed me over too, and I want her to burn. By the time I got home, my brain was on fire. This wasn't just about me anymore. Olivia was a career psychopath. And if I didn't stop her, she'd do this to someone else. So I did what any rational person would do. I called the PI again. I need you to dig up everything on Olivia, I told him. Every dirty secret, every past scam, every skeleton in her closet. He chuckled, you got it. Then I made another call to Richard, Ryan's father, the man who'd already punched his own son in the face. Richard, I said calmly, how would you like to help me take down Olivia and Ryan? There was silence. Then the most satisfying words I'd ever heard. Tell me what to do. After my call with Richard, things moved fast. The PI worked quickly. Within days, he had everything. Evidence of Olivia's past scams, people she'd wronged, even legal records I didn't know existed. Turns out, Olivia had been sued twice for defamation. She settled both cases out of court, but it was clear she had a pattern of destruction. Meanwhile, Melanie came. She went even further, contacting Olivia's ex-best friend, the one Olivia had set up for drug possession, and convinced her to speak up. When I heard the whole story, I knew exactly what had to be done. It was time to end this once and for all. I planned everything down to the last detail. Richard pulled some strings and got Linda, Ryan, and even Olivia's mom to host a family intervention at their house, all under the guise of fixing things and talking them out. Olivia and Ryan agreed to come, completely unaware of what was coming. That night, the tension was palpable. Ryan and Olivia walked in together as if nothing was wrong. Olivia, wearing her usual smug smile, still believed she could talk her way out of trouble, completely oblivious to the trap she was walking into. Richard sat rigid at the head of the dining table, his anger barely contained. Linda looked completely spent, her eyes red from crying. Rachel and Melanie sat beside me, ready to support me, while Olivia and Ryan were on the opposite side. The storm was about to break. Richard began, we need to talk about what you two have done. Ryan quickly objected, Dad, this is ridiculous. Olivia crossed her arms. Are we really doing this? What do you want from me? I leaned forward. We want the truth. Olivia scoffed, you already know the truth, Ryan and I are together. Just get over it. I smiled and said, oh, Olivia, I wasn't talking about that truth. Then I pulled out a stack of documents and placed them on the table. These, I said while flipping through them, prove you've been framing people, destroying lives, and ruining reputations for years. And now, everyone in this room will hear the real story of who you are. Olivia's smug look faltered. What is this? She stammered. She snapped in a high voice. I turned to Melanie. Tell them. Melanie took a deep breath and looked directly at Olivia. You framed me for drug possession, Olivia. You planted drugs in my car just because I started dating your ex and you wanted to ruin my life. Linda gasped. Olivia froze. Melanie continued, and then there's Leah. You accused her of harassment at work, and she lost everything because of you. Olivia's hands began to shake. That's not true, she screeched. I slammed down the final document. And look at this, a police report from when you were 18. You falsely accused a teacher of inappropriate behavior after he gave you a bad grade. Richard suddenly stood up so fast his chair scraped the floor. You did what? He demanded. Olivia's face drained of color. I didn't, she stuttered, turning to Ryan. Ryan, say something. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. He looked from the documents to Olivia, and for the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. You did this, he whispered. Olivia panicked, yelling, so what if I did? I survived. They deserved it. That was the moment Olivia sealed her fate. Ryan stumbled back as if he'd been punched, his face turning white. Oh my God, he muttered. I believed you. He ran his hands through his hair, shaking his head. I ruined my life for you, Olivia. Her eyes widened in panic. Ryan, no, you love me. We were in this together. Ryan stepped back. No. You used me. You used everyone. I threw away my marriage for you. Olivia lunged forward, grabbing his arms. Ryan, please. But Ryan shoved her away like she was poison. Stay away from me, he whispered, then turned to me. I'm so sorry. That should have made me feel better, but it didn't. You don't get to be sorry, I said. He looked down, broken and defeated. I have nothing left, he whispered, and I felt no remorse. The fallout was swift and brutal. Ryan's family disowned both him and Olivia. Richard kicked Ryan out, and Linda refused to speak to either of them ever again. Olivia lost everything. The people she had wronged began coming forward with real lawsuits, and soon she was a complete pariah. Ryan disappeared. The last I heard, he was living in a cheap motel, unemployed, friendless, and drowning in regret. I got my job back when HR discovered the accusations against me were fake, and they even offered me a promotion as an apology. I moved on. I took a solo trip to Italy, reconnected with old friends, and, most importantly, I never looked back. After that fateful night, the fallout settled into a strange kind of calm. The shockwaves of that confrontation rippled through everyone's lives. I returned to my daily routine, but now with a newfound clarity and determination. I started speaking at local community centers and schools about the dangers of manipulation and deceit, sharing my story to help others recognize the red flags before it was too late. As the months passed, I worked to rebuild my life piece by piece. I reconnected with the friends I had lost touch with, forming bonds that were stronger and more genuine than before. The scars of the past were still there, but they served as a reminder of how far I'd come. I found solace in creative outlets, writing, painting, and even volunteering at a shelter, and through these acts, I discovered that healing was a process of self-forgiveness and growth. Meanwhile, the legal consequences for Olivia slowly took shape. The lawsuits kept rolling in, and one by one, her carefully constructed lies crumbled under the weight of undeniable evidence. Her reputation, once built on deception, was permanently tarnished. In a final court ruling, she was held accountable for the lives she'd ruined, and the community found a sense of justice, however bittersweet it might have been. Ryan, too, began to rebuild his life. After years of isolation and regret, he sought therapy and support groups, determined to confront his past mistakes and learn to trust again. His journey was a long and painful one, but eventually, he found a path to redemption, a path that allowed him to make amends and slowly rebuild relationships with those he had hurt. For me, the resolution was not found in revenge or bitterness, but in the peace that comes from truth. I realized that true strength lay in our ability to rise above the darkness of manipulation and rebuild our lives with honesty and compassion. The experience left me wiser, and I vowed never to let anyone else suffer in silence. In the end, the chaos that once threatened to destroy us instead sparked a series of transformations. We all faced our demons, and through courage, accountability, and the relentless pursuit of truth, we found a way forward, a way to heal, forgive, and embrace the possibility of new beginnings.